health matters. Matters of health, you can say, or all the things that we need to be healthy. And I'm pretty sure it's important for all of us here. What happens to a body and a mind that's failing to be for us, be there for us? Be full power when we need the power, or to be able to relax when we want to. If it doesn't behave in a manner where it's there for us, we get trapped into not relying on it. Indeed, I develop fear that this is not going to happen, that I am not going to be able to trust it. In fact, talking about trust, we all know, at least intellectually we know, that for our life to work, for our relationships to work, for anything to work, trust is necessary. When that's failing, things creep in which make us doubt ourselves. I repeat, in every aspect of life. Trust ourselves, physically, mentally, in every way. Trust is a quality that comes from me knowing all is good, everything is okay. Okay, regardless of any factors that may come along. That doesn't mean expect a life without ups and downs. That is life. In the ups and downs, we are saying trust is the most important factor to take us to wherever our life is taking us. It doesn't mean that I go out to sea without a compass. And it's because of the lack of distrust in ourselves, that there is lack of health, both of body and of mind, please do not evaluate. Look within and you will see that this is a fact in our life. We doubt ourselves primarily, thus we doubt everything that is outside. It's a mental habit. I doubt everything. Thus, I cannot put any positive energy. I doubt. And it takes away all my power. You come, you do a yoga course, but there is a doubt going on. Is this really true? That doubt stops you from that listening. Thus, you take a little bit, perhaps, of the surface, because you're unable to totally trust and experience. And please, I go away with more or less empty hands. And we do the same thing in our life repetitiously. I repeat, all the aspects of my being which are dependent on body and mind. All aspects of my being are jeopardized by my very self. To give oneself absolutely, totally and fully. It's not belief that is needed. Please, belief, I believe, is on a mental plane only. No, it doesn't work. I may believe in this or that, I may believe in some religion. Talking about religions, it doesn't happen. If you believe, let's say in Christ, if you believe in Christ, it's not going to happen. You trust that Christ is there for you, or whatever. You trust, which is a much, much deeper level. And it starts to work, because that trust in a God or is actually me trusting myself. You must inquire inside yourself to find out the truth about this. This is not a thing which is on the surface, a situation that's there, and I can write down pros and cons and then come to a decision. Something much deeper within me, my inabilities. Again, I repeat, trust is not about jumping off a cliff and hoping that God will and this is what people think that trust is. Doing completely foolish things with the belief that it'll be okay. It's really simple. Feeling, and I'm not saying understanding, the laws of nature. Feeling. You know, it's really strange. We live in our body, but we don't. I have this body, I'm walking, talking, doing everything, but I don't feel it. Wild animals who do not have the faculty to think as we do, logic. They live in their bodies. And we've lost that. What does that mean? That means, just as an example, I smell something. You know, you've seen animals, how they smell. I smell something and I know this is not right. I need to go and test things, and I need counselors, and I need all kinds of outer things to evaluate my situation. You know that? I've lost the faculty to actually feel it with, of course, my senses, but to feel it on a deeper level. Going back to this basics of feeling myself. I am no more unsure. I know. I know this is good for me to eat. I don't have to read a book on nutrition to tell me what to eat. I know what to eat because it's coming from my body. And why this becomes such a mess? Or why has this mess come about? Look into your daily life. You're driven by the mind. I make all my choices from that drive. In brief, what is mind? It's all my wishes, my desires, my passions, the things I really, really want. It's all the things which I don't want, which I made my mind I don't want. And that mind was made in some situation in the past. All the things I want, how does that come about? I come into contact with something. The experience is good. I keep it stored in my memory, this good experience. And I want it again. A bunch of all the things which were not good for me, which I stored as a bad experience. All the things that I fear, I don't want to be faced with that situation. I'm fearful. This is mind. Please, this is mind. Nothing else. Now, a thing which is appeared, which is controlling our life now, which is of the past. It's a storehouse that is been made in the past. And this I listen to. And unfortunately, there are contradictions in the things I like. I like this, but there is a contradiction. I love drinking, but on the next day, and I keep doing it, I love it. 10 years, I go on loving it and doing it, and I end up in hospital. And things like that. Contradiction. It's a contradiction to what is true. And it's a contradiction because every time I take up that glass, there is a part of me that's saying, hey, you didn't feel good last night. You shouldn't be doing this. But there's a driving force That feeling that I get when I'm just taking an example, okay? When I drink, that feeling that I get, I want it again. I therefore choose not to listen to that other part of me. And I go on. And it becomes my habit. A habit. Then it descends down to the body feeling. Without that, I don't feel good. It's called addiction. It includes me, the example. When you're 13, 12, 13, 14, you try a cigarette. Whoever enjoyed their first cigarette? And then it becomes a habit that you can't break. Please look into it. It's the habits, our habits. From one habit to another habit to another habit. Our day is passed in habits. A lot of these habits are detrimental to actually my mind as well and my body. So my body is suffering because of my mental habits. And like this, I keep slapping it and throwing stuff into it. Because of my habits. And it grows. The law of nature. The law of nature, we all know it. But unfortunately on the mental level, not deep down. Is there a solution? By starting to feel, by starting to become aware. Awareness, mental. If I ask you, what are you thinking of? You can catch your thought and tell me. Awareness at a deep level. So that I can be with the source. Being with the source. Being in myself. For being in myself, I have to not be out. I have to be in myself, ignoring the inputs that are coming. right now in our life, we are listening to those inputs and acting. We're listening. I have to stop listening to all the outside things and start listening to the inner things. Unfortunately, because of our habits of being out there, it's not very inviting to be quiet. I'd rather be doing something which is interesting, joyful, good tasting, exciting, and so on. Sit like this and close the eyes. The mind will never allow us to do that. The mind wants power. Its very force is to enslave. It's very happy when you listen to it. It's very sad when you don't. Sad. Giving the feeling of discomfort. Oh, I'm missing that party. My friends are having fun. What am I doing here? It's hard to say no. And indeed, this is what going inwards means, saying no. There's a cartoon that comes to my head. I don't know why it came, but it did. So I'll share it with you. There's a boy grazing the sheep. And flute, playing the flute. Everything's great. The sheep are eating, becoming fat, which every shepherd wants to see. Then the devil comes along and puts a television there. And all the sheep I don't want you to think I am insulting you or anything, but most of us are sheep. That's why sheep. All the sheep so when his whole flock is like this, watching the television, he stops playing and goes to see what's happening. And of course, gets sucked in there. No one's eating, no one's enjoying themselves. Everyone's sucked in. That's what devil does. And indeed, the mind is an equivalent to the devil. Please, okay, please. It's not someone else, okay? We are not talking about another person. We are talking about us, our mind. And it has the power. It knows exactly where to catch you and pull you. If the devil had put there a game instead of the television, a game, I don't know, chess. Everyone wouldn't pulled like this. Some people would say, yeah. Some people would say, no. To be optimal, to be the best that we can be, we have to return to the consciousness that pervades without it being tarnished, without it being polluted, without it being colored. That's called pure consciousness. What is it now? Volatile. Volatile. One day I want this, then something else takes my fancy, and I want that. And then I drop that because I see a third thing, fourth thing. Like this, I need to know myself on a deeper level. The mind not only pulls us, it's indecisive. It's fleeting. One day it's this, another day it's. How can we live like this? Somehow we manage. And this is where the will comes in. To say no means to have the will to say no. What takes us to become peaceful? When I say no, I remain peaceful. When we say go within, yes, it means to go within where there is infinite peace, infinite goodness. That's who we really are. Now, matter of health. This is the law of nature. I did not invent it. It's what the Buddha spoke, the Christ spoke, all of them spoke this. Whenever I allow myself to be taken over by the forces of my mind, I suffer. I suffer. It's the law of nature. And in fact, the Buddha's first teaching after his enlightenment, whenever I lose myself in my mental habits, patterns, I suffer. I try to sit quiet, and I realize that for the 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes that I'm sitting, there isn't any quiet. It's the mind taking up one thing, and then you say, no. But it already had a hold over you for 5 minutes, and you say no. You realize, you say no. And soon another pattern trickles in, holds us there till we realize, oh, I'm supposed to be meditating. And this goes on, and then the time is finished. I don't know if anyone's ever explored this. With my present status, I'm unable to find peace. Being in yourself, being conscious about yourself cannot come unless there is peace. Peace, example, peace is like the surface of water. One stone, anything falls in it, it creates ripples. When it was flat, when it was undisturbed, I can see myself. It's like a mirror. When something falls and there are ripples, I cannot. If someone tells you, hey, stop your mind, that's the cause of the problem, stop the mind. Try to stop the mind. If I could try to stop the mind, I would get instant peace. It's not easy. It's a ball that's rolling. And a lot of the times it's heavy, this ball. It's got its momentum. What do I do? Where do I start? How do I go about it? I start small. Trying to stop that force of my mind is beyond me. I start small. I stop listening and take my awareness on something that is easy, where it's easy to keep my awareness, and make that grow. The faculty of focusing, of concentrating, means when I am in that, I am not with other things as well. Just one thing, concentration, focusing. And what do I focus on? Something that's really deep. Whenever a thought arises, it appears in the body as feeling. Those feelings are classified into like, not like, not like. Two categories. Or, I must say, another category, run away. So when the situation comes, how do I react to it? At the feeling level. That feeling that I got when I like something is evoked. If that feeling is nice, I want that feeling inside, deep inside. On this fact is based the whole of Vipassana. So, you're asked to watch the sensations arising from moment to moment to moment to moment with equanimity. So, you're not again watching the sensations and creating further bonds. You watch it. Sensations are much deeper. If I'm able to make my awareness grow in my sensations, I start to learn about myself. I start to see myself. To observe sensation is not possible if I am half here and half there. I have to be in there. And the more totally I am, the more I am getting in touch with myself. So our entire practice, what we do, is based on this fact that through sensation, you're able to go deep into your inner being and its workings. I know that I shouldn't be addicted. Does that help? It doesn't. So that's what we do. We go deeper inside on the level of our deeper feelings. And where do we start? By feeling the sensations. When I'm making an action, much easier. And we build that awareness, build that awareness, build that awareness. Any activity. And this is used everywhere. Any activity that makes me lose this wishes, desires sucking me in, any activity that stops this from happening is considered to be spiritual. It does not allow the mind to hold me during that activity. When that activity is happening, I am not I know you won't like the word enslaved. I'm not enslaved. So, the dervishes going round and round and round and round. Can you do it half present? You fall. You have to be fully concentrated. Chanting is a different story. You know the chant, and then your mouth is saying that, and your mind is thinking something else. They can go parallel. Singing songs of praise when you don't really mean them. It doesn't work if you are unable to totally immerse yourself in it. Nothing will work if we are not able to do that. That's where the will comes in. I have to use a positive force to counteract the force of the mind. And if I'm lucky, I come upon an activity that takes me deep down. How is health going to come? There are so many versions on how to be healthy. Nowadays, all those versions are online. All I need is to click some buttons and I'm in it. I try this, I try this, I try this, I try this, I try this. Who can tell you what is best for you but yourself? Yourself. You want health? That's the only way possible. Otherwise, you go around from one version to another, to another, to another, and you spend your life. Some people will swear on nutrition, do juices, this, that. The new age. All the things of the new age. Some people will swear on tradition. And it's mind-boggling. So a few words about backs and why they hurt. What is a back pain on a mental level? Okay. You have an accident, you break something. That's also part of it, but okay, let's take that out. You have an accident, it's not a psychological thing, that's your fortune. What is its mental state? I am carrying a burden. That is back breaking. That is breaking my back. Which burden? We all have some things to do. Is yours a bigger burden? I make it so important that it becomes a burden. I'm reminded of a story from, where is it from an Arabian there was a man with a donkey that used to have to go through a shallow river, but had to go through there. So the donkey thought, hang on, if I pretend to fall, half my stuff will be dissolved by the water. So that day the donkey driver was carrying salt. So he fell down and the salt got all dissolved and it became lighter. And this continued to happen for some days, and the owner was sad and the donkey was happy. So the owner thought, now it's time to teach my donkey. So what did he do? He brought some cotton. And when the donkey did the same, the cotton got, of course, back breaking, burden. We do it to ourselves. This is the funny thing. So please, what is burden? A burden is that which I make as important. I make it important enough so that I think I have to carry this. I have to do this. Hey, life is simple. You need to make enough money, food, stay, a little bit here and there, that's it. That's not enough. Because I want more. and more and more. And that's my greed. My very own. That and all we mentioned about the mind, I make it important, I do. I take away its importance and it's not a burden. When am I going to be able to see this? When? When my back breaks and I can't get up anymore? No. Start to become, please, less important. You think you're important. Like this. Actually, keeping health is easy. Keep the mind from getting hold over you. Leave your body to be free, and you have good health. There's another story. Small thing happens to me. A true story, okay? Something little happens to me, and I know all that stuff. So I start thinking, oh, I must have this. Someone get a little joint pain, example, and they think, oh, I got arthritis. It's a big word, arthritis. And I think I got arthritis. And I read, oh, yes, I felt that in my knee joint, I felt. And I build it up. Hey, you know, whatever I build up is what happens. The law of nature, whatever I build up, builds up. And then it's there. Everything that I build up myself. Which brings us to the first thing that we said. If there is no trust in myself, then I am continuously building up things. This, some people do it on all levels, and that's called a hypochondriac. They've got everything. You give them a list, they'll tick mark everything. Yeah. These talks are for no other reason but to help us to see the truth and grow. Seeing the truth. Seeing it in myself, oh yes, it's true. Helps us to grow. Seeing the truth helps us to make the choice towards the true.